Does the U.S. military know that the diesel emission equipment is unreliable and that's why they have trucks sent from the factory without the equipment? This is a huge topic for diesel fans. They point this out all the time when a diesel related news item comes out. Is that what's really going on? Does the U.S. military know the equipment's not reliable? That's not really the case. Let's have a little history lesson with Tim. So what's going on here? I reached out a few years ago to the Department of Defense, as we called it at the time, and talked to them about what's going on with their vehicles. Why do certain ones not follow the Clean Air Act, where we have emissions equipment on the trucks? Well, it comes down to this: ultra low sulfur diesel fuel. What is that? You may be asking a question if you're, well, not as much gray in your beard as I have. This came out early 2000s. Actually, was a pilot program from the EPA in 1993, following suit to what Europe had come up with as a fuel source. This was taking sulfur out of the fuel. They saw this as the next evolution, where they had taken lead out of gasoline, they had installed catalytic converters into cars. This was a situation where they could take sulfur out of the fuel that was going to reduce pollution that was impacting the ozone layer. Remember back then we had a whole ozone layer. And it was going to reduce lung cancer and reduce respiratory issues in cities. We had air quality problems back then, was a big problem. And so this fuel source came out to fix that problem. It also was going to be the precursor to work with the new emissions equipment we were adopting, because we were going to try and do this clean diesel push because we wanted those fuel efficient diesels that were in Europe. So we figured if we adopt the same fuel they used, they would bring those fuel efficient diesels from Europe over here. But this created a problem for the US military. Why? Well, we were bombing the hell out of Iraq at the time. Yeah, if you don't remember those days, it was watching the war on TV. So we were bombing Iraq, blowing up the refineries, which was causing a lot of fuel problems in those war zones. The U.S. military was like, yeah, we can't use ultra low sulfur diesel fuel if we can't find it. We can't have tanks broken down side of the road, because if you put regular diesel fuel in those systems, eventually the tanks will stop running. The DPF will be plugged because it can't handle that type of fuel. So they came out with a waiver from the EPA saying, hey, if we have a vehicle that's going to be a tactical use vehicle, it cannot have emissions equipment. And the EPA was like, yep, national security threat. So you cannot have the emissions equipment on that vehicle. So if we look back the story on pickuptrucktalk.com, you'll see the answer is it's about the fuel. And I have some quotes from people from the US military who said that's really what it is. And then when they have vehicles that operate in the United States, they do follow the Clean Air Act. They will have emissions equipment. And the US military decides what is tactical use, what is not tactical use. And F-250 could be designated as a tactical use vehicle depending how they're using it.